Hi everyone, welcome back to the Facts on JW. I'm Anthony, and today we're going to be taking a look at August 2025 JW Broadcasting with none other than the face contortionist himself, Stephen Lett. In this one, we're going to be talking about children following Jehovah, how children are born flawed and are taught and are given examples by their parents. We're also going to be talking about women, I guess, to make up for the Samuel Hurd speech that was given several years ago, where Samuel was basically practicing his misogynist views out loud. And Stephen Lett begging for money as usual. It seems to be a theme for the Watchtower these days to beg its membership for money. We're also going to mention charity a little bit in this video. And as we all know, charity does not exist within Jehovah's Witnesses. They do not give to any people in need or natural disasters or any of that. The only thing they care about is the kingdom halls, and they figure that if the kingdom halls are safe, then they're giving you spiritual food. You know, they speak in a language all to their own. So you got to learn to understand Jehovah's Witnesses lingo. If they say, give the truth to those that deserve it, or only give to those that deserve it, they mean it's okay to lie to everybody else that's not Jehovah's Witnesses, or do not help anyone that's not a Jehovah's Witness because they're of Satan. And their charity work, they figure if they're building kingdom halls or repairing kingdom halls or going out into service, then they're feeding you spiritual food, and that's their nonprofit status. That's what they consider charitable work. And just so you know, that is not considered charity work. And therefore, they're truly not a charitable organization. And if you're really fed up with these guys and the lies and manipulation and the pain and the hurt they've caused so many families, and you're really just sick of them, and you want to do something about it, I'm going to post some links down below, guys. All you got to do is follow those links. And if you know anything that could help shed light into social media or to other channels that could bring these people to justice for acting as a charitable organization, a nonprofit organization that is working as a for-profit organization with 1,000 umbrella companies, put down every umbrella company you know, put down all the information that you have that you actually can prove, and send to these media outlets and send to the Charitable Status Committee. And we can just help bring down the tower just a little bit quicker this way. So anyway, we're going to do this thing. I want you guys to really pay close attention to this video because they are really playing biblical hopscotch here again, which is something they love to do. So cherry picking scripture, taking the verses out of context, and saying it means something that actually did not mean when you read the chapter. You can take a verse and make it mean anything. So let's watch this and give your honest opinions. Please put down any opinions you have down below. I love reading the comments. And whether you are or are not part of it, everybody put down your comments. Because even those that are still in it, it helps me to see what your opinions are so I know how to talk to you. You give me a little education every time, so I appreciate that. And for those who are done with this organization, who are sick of it and realize the lies they've spread, the damage they've done, and all the harm they've caused, hey, heart goes out to you and your recovery from recovering from a cult. I don't know if you guys have ever looked at the bite model, but Jehovah's Witnesses check every box of a bite model. And it's really probably good for people to seek some type of counseling for leaving them because it is a cult. All right, guys, here we go. Have fun.
This month's theme is Imitate Jehovah's Generosity. Our program will bring us closer to our great God Jehovah. Here's a sample. What will you do in paradise? Some of our young ones share what they look forward to in the new world and how their hope draws them to Jehovah. The book of Hosea can teach us profound truths if we know how to find them. We'll explore Hosea together and learn how to dig for our own treasures. You Christian sisters are beautiful examples of compassion, self-sacrifice, humility, and so much more. But at times, some of you may feel that others don't notice what you do. This month's music video will assure you that your brothers and sisters love and appreciate you very much. There's much to look forward to in this edition of JW Broadcasting. Humans are born with a strong inclination to imitate. In fact, very young infants have been observed imitating facial expressions. That's amazing. Makes me think of an experience I had some 40 years ago when Susan and I were in the circuit work. A sister told me that her little 5-year-old son was looking in a mirror and making various expressions with his face and eyes. His mother asked, "What are you doing?" He said, "I can't do like Brother Lett. I'll never be a circuit overseer." Well, I'm sure he soon learned that voluminous facial expressions are not a requirement for circuit work. In fact, they could be a disadvantage. By the way, thank you for putting up with me all these years.
Well, as you can clearly see what this month's about, obviously, if we imitate the watchtower as little children, follow it blindly, we'll draw closer to Jehovah. Basically what they're saying. And real weird. Lett apologizing for all the things over the years. Is this his last show? His last rodeo? Curious. Weird to say. That was a kind of an odd statement. For all these many years. But anyway, they also acknowledge the women of the watchtower. And I'm sure this has something to do with Samuel Hurd's statement some years ago about women. So we all know his misogynistic view. Anyway, we're going to continue on watching this, and just let me know what you guys think and give me your opinions about this broadcast. It's kind of scattered, a little bit of everywhere, but it's just honing in to charitable for the watchtower. So for all the members to give to the poor, the hungry, but also give your money to a watchtower because it's actually used more wisely there. And anybody that knows the watchtower and the publications and the Elder's Manual, it's very clear that they want you to give to the org because they think they can use your money better. And they do not give to charity. They don't help anyone but themselves. They're a huge realty company, a publishing company. They have 1,000 umbrella companies. They're truly not a not-for-profit corporation that they claim to be. And we're actually seeing their final days. So anyway, continue watching. I think this thing is going to get really crazy.
But how does a small child learn to walk, feed himself, and talk? He learns by imitating his parents and others. However, there's one type of imitating that does not come automatically or even easily. It's identified at Ephesians 5:1. It says, "Therefore become imitators of God as beloved children." Notice the word become. We are not born as imitators of God. Because of inherited imperfection, we aren't even born with an inclination to become an imitator of God. Genesis 8:21 says, "For the inclination of the heart of man is bad from his youth up." Therefore, it takes earnest effort to become an imitator of God. But it's well worth the effort, and Jehovah will help us. What blessings will we personally reap if we become an imitator of God? The greatest blessing, Jehovah will see that we're trying to be like Him, and He will love us and draw close to us. Also, the more we learn about Jehovah and strive to be like Him, the more we'll love Him, and the closer we'll draw to Him. Cultivating godly qualities will result in improved relations with others. Imitating godly qualities will make us a better person overall. The more we're like Jehovah, the happier we'll be. That's how He created us. Those are just a few of the blessings we'll reap if we become an imitator of God. In our publications, more than 40 different qualities of Jehovah have been identified and discussed. But in this discussion, let's examine just one. We'll discuss the theme, Imitate Jehovah's Generosity. Generosity is an aspect of Jehovah's love. Unquestionably, Jehovah God is the most generous giver in the universe.
Well, I guess you have it here. This is just a sneaky way to, take away your independence, to manipulate you emotionally, to get you to follow and obey the watchtower, as if you were obeying Jehovah God. Like a child imitates their parents. We learn from our parents, we imitate them. And if you imitate what Watchtower says, you'll follow what they want you to, and it's the only way to have sincere happiness is to imitate Watchtower. It brings absolute manipulation to a full head. So what He's really wanting is you to give a sincere and determined attempt to imitate the Watchtower and their writings that they write. To have a zealous approach, to have a deep commitment, and to follow everything that they say. That's what He's actually saying here. It's just more emotional manipulation. Because if you imitate Watchtower, then you're going to give what all you can to them. Just as Jehovah God gave all to us, you can give it to them. Because in their mind, Watchtower and Jehovah are the same thing. Because whose organization are they? They're Jehovah's organization. And when Jehovah appointed them, which that's the craziest idea I've ever heard, ever. There's no proof of this. But He appointed them, so now everything that they say is the same as Jehovah saying it. Yet, they're uninspired and fallible. This is ridiculous. But anyway, He's going to want you to give more money, more money, more money. And just watch, it's going to get good. All right? Let's watch a few more minutes of this. I'm not going to play this whole monthly talk because this is ridiculous, this broadcast. But I'm going to get the good stuff out of the way. Here we go.
Let's talk about this. Eons and eons ago, Jehovah God was all alone. And even though it's impossible for us to comprehend, He wasn't lonely or lacking anything, but because of love, he generously chose to share the gift of life with others. He decided to become a father, a creator. Logically, he began by creating a son with whom he could directly enjoy fellowship. As we know, this son became known as the Word, as Jehovah's spokesman. But then, at some point in time, again, not because of loneliness or lacking anything, but because of love, he chose to further expand his family by creating millions of angelic sons who could also directly associate with him. Then amazingly, further down the stream of time, because of love, he again chose to expand his family. These children were a lower form of life, but ones who were made in his image and whom he loved deeply. Of course, we're talking about Adam and Eve, the original parents of all of us. If Jehovah had not created them, none of us would ever have been born. Yes, life itself is a wonderful, miraculous, and generous gift. Without this gift, we wouldn't be able to enjoy any of Jehovah's other marvelous blessings. Let's now talk about Jehovah's generosity when it comes to physical gifts. Every good gift and every perfect present is from above. Think for a moment about the planet we live on. Jehovah created the earth as a beautiful and unique home for us. It has all the right conditions to sustain life, including the oxygen and water cycles that continually recycle essential resources. If the earth were closer to the sun, all the water would boil off and the planet would be a barren rock. Conversely, if it were farther from the sun, the water would freeze and the planet would be like an uninhabitable iceberg. Jehovah placed the earth at the perfect location, often called the Goldilocks zone. Think, too, about the marvelous gift of our human bodies. Even in our imperfect state, as mentioned at Psalm 139:14, we are wonderfully made. Isn't it brilliant how our skin is designed to heal when we cut, scrape, or bruise it? When we scratch, scrape, or dent our car, does it heal itself? Can you imagine what we would look like if every time we damaged our skin, it just stayed that way? We'd begin to look pretty rough in just a short period of time. And isn't it amazing how the skin allows water to exit the body in the form of perspiration, but at the same time, it doesn't allow water to enter the body when we take a bath? Otherwise, we'd become waterlogged. Ponder for a moment about how food is not only nutritious, but it's also delicious. This makes fueling our bodies very enjoyable. Jehovah could have made eating like putting gasoline in a car, a necessary function, but void of enjoyment. Think of all the tasty varieties of food. As just one example, how many varieties of grapes are there? According to the Food and Agriculture Organization, there are about 10,000 different grape varieties worldwide. Jehovah could have given us just 2 varieties, red and green. But why do we have some 10,000 varieties?
Okay, well, let's take a look at this. We have supposedly 10,000 varieties of grapes. Well, if anybody's never heard of selective breeding, which is very ancient and old process, partly the reason, genetically modified, another part of the reason, Triploids is a way to get seedless, another modification. CRISPR-Cas9, several ways to end up with so many different variations of grapes. Jehovah didn't invent all those. He gave man the ability to do that. But man created so many different varieties of grapes. Who knows what the first grapes looked like? Never really researched it, but I'm sure there was probably very, very few varieties. Maybe it was like muscadines or something like that. Who knows? But anyway, that's just a weird thing to throw out there. Oh well, let's keep on. See what the perfectionist of face contortion can continue doing here. And watch him beg for more money.
Because of Jehovah's voluminous generosity. But now we ask, how can we imitate Jehovah's generosity in giving physical gifts? It's obvious that Jehovah has put a lot of thought into his gift giving so that his gifts are practical and beneficial. Likewise, we should prayerfully meditate so that our gifts are useful. Not all gifts are practical. One brother gave this example. A puppy might make a fine gift to a young one living in a rural setting, but it's a terrible gift to a Bethelite. If our brother lacks food, clothing, or shelter, we don't just say, "Go in peace, keep warm, and well fed." No, we apply Proverbs 3:27, which says, "Do not withhold good from those to whom you should give it, if it is within your power to help." In addition to helping brothers in need directly, we can indirectly help them by making donations to the worldwide work. The governing body prayerfully strives to use wisely these precious, dedicated funds to help our dear brothers who've been afflicted by natural or man-made disasters and who urgently need suitable kingdom halls.
All right, this is an important one. Give to those to whom deserve it. Now, for a witness that hears this, those with whom deserve it means another witness, not anyone else. A person that is a Jehovah's Witness in good standing would be the people that they believe deserve it. Just like telling the truth to those to whom deserve it means only be honest to a Jehovah's Witness. I'm going to also post two little things here so you can read what they're doing. Elder's letter and article from out of the Watchtower. And you can see whom deserves it. All right. Okay, let's take a look at this Watchtower article, and we'll take a look at where Lett's coming from here. It says, helping the needy. He that is kind in eye will be blessed, for he has given of his food to the lowly one. Proverbs 22:9. I wish they actually followed this. A reason why some celebrate Christmas, because Jesus helped people who were poor, sick, and afflicted. Some want to follow his example. They feel that the best time to do that may be Christmas, when charities often put forth extra effort to collect donations. Why is it a challenge? During the holidays, many people are preoccupied with shopping, entertaining, and visiting friends and family. All of this leaves them with little time, energy, or money to attend to the poor and needy, other than perhaps making a donation. Well, donating to the needy and the poor actually is a good thing as well. Do not hold back good from those to whom it is owing, when it happens to be in the power of your hands to do it. It's a good saying, Proverbs 3:27. The poor, the hungry, and the afflicted do not suffer only at Christmas. If you perceive that someone needs help,
and it is within the power of your hand to assist while wait for a holiday to act. Your kindness and compassionate acts will be blessed. Now, what they're doing is they're saying the individual Jehovah's Witnesses, not the branch, aka the Bethel or the leadership, but the individuals help. The branch doesn't help the poor, the needy, afflicted. They just don't do it. Every first day of the week, let each of you at his own house set something aside in store as he may be prospering. The Apostle Paul gave the advice to early Christians who wanted to help the poor. Could you set aside or budget some money that you can regularly give to individuals or to an organization that uses its funds wisely? Wonder which organization that could possibly be. Oh, wait a minute. In this way, you ensure that you care for the needy while still giving within your means. Do not forget the doing of good and the sharing of things with others, for with such sacrifice God is well pleased. Notice that besides the sharing of things with others, we must also remember the doing good of or helpful acts. For example, wise parents train their children to help the elderly with everyday tasks, to encourage the sick by means of a card, a visit, or a phone call, and to take a personal interest in other children who are poor or suffering from a disability. As a result, children learn to be kind and generous year-round. Wise parents train their children to help the elderly, the sick, and children who are disadvantaged. As a result, children learn to be kind and generous year-round. So basically what they're saying is all the individual witnesses need to help the people who are Jehovah's Witnesses, because they do not help people outside of Jehovah's Witnesses, just so you know. And they'll say to those who are in need, or those who deserve it. When they'll say those who deserve the truth or those who deserve the help, they're saying that means a Jehovah's Witness if you speak their lingo, because only a witness in good standing. So anyway, that's what Lett was basically saying. Give to the branch. He's wanting you to set up donations, give to them. And also, out of your own pocket, help the needy and the poor, and let them, and tell everybody you're a Jehovah's Witness when you do it. Yeah, right.
And assistance in many other ways. Speaking of the need for kingdom halls, as just one example, please look at these pictures from the Philippines. Here are 6 before and after photographs. And what do you think was the individual average cost of these 6 new, simplified, but dignified kingdom halls? $21,000 US. Please think about this. Jehovah's physical gifts, such as the rain, sunshine, and oxygen, are recurring. What's one way to imitate this aspect of Jehovah's giving? Well, 1 Corinthians 16:2 says, "On the first day of every week, each of you should set something aside according to his own means." In harmony with this scriptural principle, many have chosen to set something aside each month by scheduling recurring online donations.
Well, wasn't that a good example? Just as the rain reoccurs. Oh, and by the way, look, we built kingdom halls for $21,000 each. So give every month. Put down, because your donations can build something as little as a $21,000 kingdom hall. If you will fall for that, it was a way to manipulate people for money. These guys are as good as any televangelist I have ever seen. I mean, they could give Oral Roberts a run for his money. They're getting good. They might be heading in that direction. A few people have said that. I think they might be right. But they're constantly asking for money these days. I don't know. When I was first introduced to Jehovah's Witnesses, they said they never ask for money. You'll never see a collection plate, and we'll never ask for money. They constantly ask for money. Go to conventions, they remind you where to go and donate money 10 times a day. And I just bring it up in the kingdom halls now. They're desperate for money. I'm going to show you guys what the Catholics paid out in their CSA. And I'm going to put a link right after this so you can see it, or a link down in the description. And you'll get an idea of why they're trying to get money, because they don't quite have that much money. However, they own a lot of property around Bethel. A lot of property. So take a look at that. It's still not enough to pay all their debts off, but if they sold all their property, got rid of all their buildings, and all they had left was just internet, they could survive. But all they would have left is internet. Wow.
But now let's briefly contemplate Jehovah's spiritual gifts, which are even more impressive. Think about the Bible. Where would we be without it? Lost, hopeless, floundering. We'd have to learn by experience, the school of hard knocks. We'd need at least 2 lives to live. One to practice, and the second to perform. Next, think about the Holy Spirit. John 14:26 describes it as a helper, teacher, and a remembrancer. It is the most powerful force in the universe, and Jehovah gives it to us generously. Consider for a moment the resurrection hope. It strengthens us in time of great distress, when death takes a loved one, or when we face death ourselves. I'm reminded of the 6-year-old girl who said, "Thank you, Jehovah, for the resurrection hope. It is a very good idea." For a final example, what was Jehovah's greatest spiritual gift of generosity? The gift of his Son to purchase us from sin and death. And it wasn't just any angel whom Jehovah sent. It was his firstborn, his only begotten Son. What if you were tied to a chair and forced to watch the torture and execution of your most beloved child? That would be horrible. Of course, Jehovah was not tied, but because of his great love for us, he restrained himself and allowed the torture and execution of his most precious Son. That is the ultimate example of generosity. But now we ask, how can we imitate Jehovah's generosity in giving spiritual gifts? One way, by being generous and giving sincere commendation. If you see something good, say something good. Proverbs 15:23 says, "A word spoken at the right time, how good it is." Words have great power. To illustrate, think of how 2 words from a convention chairman can lift thousands of pounds. What are they? Please stand. In this vein, Proverbs 18:21 says, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue." Just a few words at the right time can make a tremendous difference in a person's life. They can cause a depressed one to stand with a positive hope for the future. Another way, freely give out forgiveness. Colossians 3:13 reminds us that Jehovah freely forgives us and that we must also do the same. The word freely in English means generously and can also mean without charge. Is there someone you can extend true forgiveness to in imitation of our generous God? Additionally, how about generously giving out knowledge? Do we pray for a Bible study and then work in harmony with those prayers by searching diligently for a deserving one? Do we liberally train others and share the skills we have in the ministry and in the maintenance and construction of theocratic facilities? People in general often hoard the knowledge they have in order to protect their job. But like Jehovah, we gladly share the knowledge we have with others. During our discussion, we barely scratched the surface regarding Jehovah's generosity and how we can imitate him. We will learn forever about our great God and how we can better reflect his qualities. But in the meantime, the more we learn about him and the more closely we can imitate him, the richer, happier, and more satisfying our lives will be. And why? Because that's how he created us. Another way we imitate Jehovah's generosity is by showing hospitality. Do you sometimes hold back? Our next segment offers practical suggestions that can help you.
Okay, guys, let's get this right. They talk about forgiveness. Wait a minute. They hold families hostage. They shun you. They ridicule you. They announce it in the Kingdom Hall, such and such is no longer one of Jehovah's Witnesses. So everybody knows you've done something. Oh, wait a minute, they've been removed. And yet they talk about to forgive people. Have you forgiven anybody lately? The leadership don't forgive no one. They don't care about no one. They care about your money. And he drives it home right after this. I mean, he drives it home with Jehovah's generosity. You know, he is just out for that dollar. And it's so obvious. I've never saw them go to this extreme. And this is pretty funny because they are desperate and they've lost so many members that they're really scared. Like I've said before, you go to the conventions, there's hardly anyone there compared to the way they used to be. Go to any Kingdom Hall and they're less than half empty from where they were. I went there, I mean, even in the second school was full. Now less than half of the seating is empty. And I've been to several different Kingdom Halls just to go in. I'm going to start recording some of them so you guys can see what's actually going on. But think about this. Jehovah's generosity, which Jehovah's code they're trying to say that they're generous. They're not. They have no generosity in them. They are a for-profit real estate company because you, as the Kingdom Halls, the congregations no longer own the property. They own it. They passed that several years ago, so they own all the property. They are a realty company that went from publishing to realty because the publishing is gone. And they're making a killing. And now the money's not flowing like it once did, so they're begging for the money because all they got is a lot of old people left. The majority of young people said, hey, I'm out of here. Because they know it's all a crock of poo. You know, they're not a religious group. They are a high control cult. And as a matter of fact, the United Kingdom just released some information about that. And going to do a post on that. I think KC's going to do it. So be on the lookout for that. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please put all your comments down below. Hit the like, the subscribe, buy us a cup of coffee. And most importantly, try to show up and watch us on our live streams every Sunday at 4, which we're going to be changing to Saturday after this coming Sunday. So show up at 4 o'clock and just say, hey, put down your any questions or opinions you have. We'll try to communicate and just hang out and have some fun and try to do some connections with all the different people, the ex-Jehovah's Witnesses out there, and just ways of encouragement. So anyway, everybody, thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Facts on JW.